Welcome back. So we can use tables. We can also do calculations. And so this is an example of a calculation for the 1 mile walk test, which is a field test that you can choose to do for your lab. So you'll either do the 1 mile walk test. You can also do the 1.5 mile run if you are a runner. If you're not a runner, you can do the 1 mile walk test. So once you do that test, and there are instructions, so I'm just going to give you an overview of the calculation. But there's specific instructions in a video for that test. But here's the formula. You simply plug in your weight here, your age, and then your sex, which 0 is for females, 1 for males, women, ladies, a 0 don't. It's just part of the formula. It means nothing really. And then heart rate is measured in beats per minute immediately upon completion. So you have 5 seconds to find your heart rate, and then you count it for 15 seconds, multiply by 4, and that's your heart rate in beats per minute. Okay, an example of that is, say, Cooper. So Cooper's 25 years old. There's Carson. Let's just do Cooper first. He's 25 years old. He's a 170-pound man. He walks the mile in 20 minutes and has an immediate post-exercise heart rate of 140 beats per minute. So we plug in the weight, 170 pounds. We plug in the age. We do the 1 because he's male. Do his time, and time is expressed in a decimal. And then we multiply by 140 beats. So his VO2 calculates to be 29.19 or 29.2. So this the weight and the ending heart rate are significant. If we look at somebody that is has a lower heart rate, we'll see that in a lower time, so a faster time and a lower heart rate response is going to equate. So this is Carson. We plug in all of her values. Notice for sex we plug in a 0, calculate that out, and then we want to round up to 1 digit. So we're always round to 1 digit, and so we have 40.6 mils per kg per minute. So all I'm doing is using this formula and then plugging in these values. You can do that whenever you're doing your walking test. Just refer to this formula to calculate VO2. For the lab, you're going to do a simulated VO2, and this is extremely important. This is an area where students make a mistake. So let me give you an overview and see if I can alleviate you making a mistake. The cool thing about this test is everybody does the same thing on the first stage. You go at 150 kilogram meters per minute. So when you're in exercise physiology lab, you'll pedal at this resistance for 3 minutes. Then the test is based on your heart rate response. If you have a low heart rate response, that means you're fit or fitter than if you have a really high response. So if your response is less than 86 beats per minute at the end of 3 minutes, you're going to do these stages. No matter what the second, third, and fourth heart rates are, you're going to stay in this box. If your heart rate after the initial stage is between 86 and 100, you're going to do this one, and you're going to do it the entire time. You're not going to go back and forth based on your second heart rate response. Now, if you have a heart rate response greater than 100, you'll do this protocol, and you won't switch back to this one based on your heart rate response. You'll stay on this protocol the entire time. So what you try to do is you try to get 2 heart rate responses above 100 beats per minute. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is estimate heart rate max. The classic way to do that is 220 minus your age. We're not going to do that because we know that Tanaka et al. Has a formula that works better for college-age students. So we're going to do 208 minus 0.7 times your age. This is also the formula that you're going to use for your individual training program, so don't forget this. For a 20-year-old female, we just go 208 minus 0.7 times her age. So we have 208 minus 0.7 times 20. We do the 0.7 If you remember this from math, we do that first and get 14. So it's 208 minus 14 equals 194 beats per minute. That's her age predicted heart rate max. So what we're going to do is we're going to graph that heart rate, 194 beats per minute. We're going to graph that and draw a line all the way across. So this is heart rate. Basically, this means that, hey, this person, based on her age, this is when she's going to stop. She's not going to have anything more than that. It's her max heart rate. When we do the test, we graph everything at 110 or above. So her first heart rate response was 92. We don't graph that because it's below 110. Stage 2 at 450 kilogram meters per minute was 138 beats per minute. So 450 heart rate response was 138, so we graph that point. We need 2 points above 110 in order to extrapolate. If you're going to do a ray, remember that from second grade, you need to have 2 points and then it just keeps extending. That's what this means. This line is an extrapolation line. It means, hey, if this person keeps going, we can predict what their heart rate's going to be at all of these values. So we graph stage 3, which was 600 kilogram meters, 154 beats per minute. And we extend this line. We're making a ray. So we go through the second point and we keep extending in a straight line until we get to her age predicted heart rate max. This theoretically is when she would stop exercising because she won't be able to go any higher because she's at her maximal heart rate or heart rate max. Then we drop a line straight down and say, okay, this is when this is the work rate that would elicit a maximal heart rate response. And then we plug this value into one of the metabolic equations that we used from our last unit. And here's an example of that. So if Carson weighs 128 pounds, which is 58.2 kilograms, what's her estimated VO2 max? Okay, so here's our formula. Remember, this is the same one that we used in our last unit. Where did I get the 940 kilogram meters? Well, I got that when I extrapolated. So when I extrapolated to her age predicted heart rate max, I dropped that down to get 940. I used the 940 to plug in this formula. So 940 kilogram meters per minute times 1.8 mils of oxygen per kilogram. Then I divide, or kilogram meter, then I divide by 58.2 kilograms. And then I add 7 mils per kg per minute. Who can tell me where 7 mils per kg per minute comes from? Well, that's resting is 3.5 mils per kg per minute, and then just sitting on the bike spinning with no resistance is 3.5 mils per kg per minute. That's where the 7 goes through. So when I calculate this out, I get a VO2 of 36.1 mils per kg per minute. So in your lab, I give you a simulated test, and this is how you do it. You're going to graph, extrapolate, drop it down, and use that work rate to calculate an estimated VO2 max. For your lab, you're going to do a simulated cycle ergometer, and then you'll either choose the step test, or you'll do a step test. Everyone will do the step test. And then you'll do the YMCA cycle ergometer test simulated. I'll give you the values on that. Then you need to do one additional cardiorespiratory fitness assessment, either the mile, 12-minute, 1.5. You can use Strava to record that, or you can so for Strava, you simply join. It's a free app. Join the free version, and to record, you just hit start. If you choose the proper activity, which is if you do an outdoor run, it will tell you when you get to 1 mile. So you don't have to measure anything out. You can just go from 1 mile. If you have a track, it would be great, but you can just leave your front steps and walk, and it'll tell you when a mile is, and then just note the time and grab your heart rate. I've got a video on how to do that. So here's the exit scenario. My question for you: you've been hired as a fitness consultant for a local health club that caters to a diverse group of clients. The club director wants you to use a 1.5 mile run to assess each new client. How do you feel about that? So they said, hey, everybody that comes in, I want you to do a 1.5 mile run. Give you a second to think about it. Well, what if you have someone that's not very fit and they can't run? They're going to have a miserable experience, and you're not going to get a very good measure. However, most people can walk a mile and without a lot of undue stress. If they're not fit, they just take longer to walk the mile. Here's the great thing. If it takes me 22 minutes to walk that mile today, and I'm exercising for 6 weeks, and then 6 weeks later I can do it in 18 minutes, then the reason I can do that is I've increased my VO2. So when you're thinking about the best test is one that matches the fitness level of the people that you're testing. Okay? And then, why do most cardiorespiratory fitness tests last between 12 to 15 minutes? Some last longer, some are a little bit shorter, but when we do lab tests, we want it done like 12 minutes is the best. So why is that? Well, you're measuring cardiorespiratory fitness, so you want it to be long enough to activate those systems. So you want some fatty-free acids floating around there that you've broken down. You know, you don't want to be relying on strict carbohydrates or the phosphagen system. So that's why you don't do it in 30 seconds or a minute. That's why there's a warm-up. That's why there's a gradual increase in intensity. That's going to allow you to target the proper aerobic systems. I really appreciate your attention. If you have any questions about this, make sure that you're looking at all your other sources and send me a question if you have one. Good luck.